Hello everyone, it's Sheila back again. Welcome to my channel. I have been doing a little bit knitting this morning. It's another lovely day. I've been doing a bit of the black as I'm going down my granddaughter's this afternoon. I'll probably take this with me because it's a lovely day and I know I'll be sitting in a garden, so lovely daylight to knit this sort of thing with. It's the best, especially when the sun's shining. That's the best time to knit this black. I'm nearly up to the where I have to start decreasing for the neck on here, so I'm going to do that far and take it down my granddaughter's, and then I can work around the neck shaping on it and the shoulder, and then I can start on the other side, because it'll be hard to measure because I have the back. I've just laid the back down on my carpet or on the floor, and I've just been putting this up against it to measure it to see how far away from the neck I am. It's the only way I can measure this, because I have tried to count the rows, but they just sort of all fall into each other. I can't seem to be able to count the rows, because that's how I do the shaping. When I come from the armhole up to the neck, I usually count the rows. Well, if it's some sort of pattern, it's easy to count the rows, but with this being just plain and then having the glitter in it, it is hard to count the rows, because I my needle in one row and try to go into the next one and it just sort of disappears. So I've just been going by what it looks like, putting it up against the back on the floor. The sleeves will not be so bad, but I know I've just got to go by what it actually looks like. But before, I'll be putting this down shortly, because it is a nice day, it's a nice morning. I'm going to do a little bit weeding in my garden before I do go out, because there is still a lot of work to do in my garden. But I have two orders that I was doing for two little girls' cardigans I've finished. So this is the 24-inch, which I've put a full tutorial up on my other channel, Sheila's Just Knitting. I've done it all in one. But if anybody wants the instructions, the actual instructions, because I held the pad up at the end of the video to show the instructions, but I'm not sure. I think my fingers might have been over some of the instructions on it. So if anybody just emails me, I will just send them the I'll take photographs of the instructions I've got, and I'll send the pictures to anybody through the email if they want the instructions for them. So that is the 24-inch. I finished the 24-inch. I just finished that one off yesterday. I kept on till I got it finished because I wanted them both done so I could send them. And that's a 22-inch. You see, it's just slightly smaller than the 24-inch. Slightly shorter sleeves. And if you're watching, Rihanna, I'll be posting these off to you this afternoon. Put them down. I'll be on my way to my granddaughter's. I'll nip into I have a little bit of shopping to do before I go down. So I'll nip into the post office and put them through the post. So that's two little ones off my hands. I have two tiny little newborn baby 16-inch ones to do for, it's a friend's mother. She used to live, the lady I'm doing them for, our daughter, she lives in Wales, but our daughter used to live next door to me a little while ago, and she moved. She's still local in my area, and her mother's coming up to see her in probably the end of July. She always comes up in the end of July, so I've got until then to do them, so there's no rush, but they won't take very long because they're only two little 16-inch baby cardigans. So any other little ones I will be doing little ones, as many as I can, either to put in my shop, or if anybody asks for them when they see me knitting them, I can send them off to anybody that wants them. But otherwise they'll be in my eBay shop. But when I've finished what I've got to do, there's this one as well. this is a 42-inch one. I've got a bit more of this one done. I've been doing this one of a night time, probably for about a couple of hours when it gets to about 9 o'clock, when it is still light of a night time, but it's been very dark in my area that I live in of a night time, so I couldn't do the black then, so I've been doing a few rows of this. But when I finish these 2 orders, I won't have any actual orders to do. I'm just knitting things myself, and I would like to do 1 or 2 cardigans for myself, because mine are sort of getting in a bit of a state. I need some new ones. I just don't have time to knit for myself. But if I do anything, I'll only be sitting knitting of a night time while I'm watching the television, which is what I want to do at the moment, because I've got so much to do in my garden, and I just cannot get out into the garden to do what I want to do. Because of the knitting, if I do go out in the garden, I'm sitting knitting in the garden, and it's been very warm trying to knit, and when I have been in the garden, I've had to put talc on my hands because the knitting was just sticking on the needles. I couldn't get it done that. And I haven't had a video up for a few days. I haven't really had much time to do them, but I put a live up Tuesday and Monday I think it was. A couple of days ago I put a live up. I had quite a lot of people come on actually, but I had intended to put that live on my Sheila's Just Knitting channel. I thought it would help to get some of the views on that channel. But I hadn't been live on that channel before, and you have to give 24 hours notice when you're going to go live to YouTube. And then after that you can go live as many times as you like without having to inform them. I had forgotten about that. So I wasn't able to put it up on there, so I thought I'll just go live on the Knitting Tips channel, seeing as I haven't had a video up for a few days. It is hard finding time sometimes, especially at this time of year when you want to be doing things in your garden and that, and then you're trying to get knitting done and that as well, and they take up a lot of your time, and then trying to catch up on some of the housework and things that I have not been doing for quite some time. I have got a pile of ironing like that up in my... I've got 2 spare bedrooms upstairs, and the smallest bedroom I use for all my washing is and do all my ironing. I have my ironing board up there all the time, and that's where I do things like that. And just that basket I put all my washing in has just been getting higher and higher and higher, because I just have not had time to sit and knit. Because I've been sitting knitting, I haven't had time to catch up on these things like ironing and that. So I thought I'm going to have to do things like that. I can't sit and knit and ignore everything else at the same time. So it's going to help me catch up on some of that. And at least when I get to the bottom of my washing basket, any more washing that comes in, I'm going to iron it straight away and put it away instead of piling it up in the basket and getting higher and higher. The only time I've been ironing something is when I want something to wear. And I've never been like that. And another thing, I have my 3-piece suite in this house is leather. And I really only give it a good dust down about once a week. But I hadn't done that either. It must have been about 2 or 3 weeks so I'd had the duster over the leather and that, because sometimes I give it a rub over with a polish thing, with a leather polish thing and that. And well, when I come to the back of me here, when I come to just to put the cloth over, you should have seen the fluff. It wasn't dust, it was fluff. It was off the wool. I didn't realise how much fluff and that comes off wool, and that's me just sitting knitting, and the dust and that, probably when I'm talking now, if there's any fluff off the wool, my breath sending it behind me on the back of the settee. So I'm saying I'm going to have to keep wiping the back of that settee a bit more often. I didn't realise how much fluff was coming off because my hand was full. It was just laid on the top of the settee and behind me. And I checked my other, because I hadn't touched my other, I've got 2 other chairs, and I checked them as well, and there was nothing like that on there, so I know it's off the wool. That's because I'm sitting on the settee knitting. I think I could do with sitting outside and knitting, letting all the fluff fly away outside instead of on the furniture. So I'm going to take everything off this settee, the cushions, because the cushions come off, but they're velcroed on the bottom. Very hard to get off actually when you're trying to pull them off, and they're velcroed. I'm going to have a good clean round this whole settee, because all the fluff off the wool has probably gone down the sides and everything. And it's amazing what you find down the sides of your settee and that when you take the cushions off. I lost my cable needle. Good job I haven't needed it for a while, but I've got it now. It's in my pin. That's it there in my pin thing. But I lost that a couple of weeks ago. I think I had been using it a couple of weeks ago and I could not find it anywhere. I looked underneath the settee, under the coffee table and everywhere. And anyway, when I was doing this dusting, I thought I just lifted the cushions to see what was down the sides of the only fluff down the sides of the cushion, and there was my cable needle. Never thought to check down there. I must have put it on, must have laid it down and it's rolled down, and then with me sitting on the cushion, push the cushion down, it's pushed the cable needle down as well. I'll have to have a good look through. You know, remember when you were kids and your dad used to come in, they'd had a few drinks, too many, and they used to go to sleep on the settee, and you know, and they'd have all their money in their pockets. The money used to fall out their pockets and go down the side of the settee. Me and my sister we used to check that settee every weekend after my dad had been lying on it. There's a few pennies here and a few pennies there. Used to wonder where all his change used to go to when he'd been out for a drink. That's what they used to do on a Sunday or a Saturday. So Saturday afternoon and a Sunday afternoon. He always used to come in. Wasn't drunk, but he'd had just that little bit too much. I used to send him to sleep, you know, so he used to go to sleep on the settee, and me and Linda used to watch. You could hear the money falling out of his pocket. But so many pennies and halfpennies in those days, because that's all, I think all I used to get pocket money when I was a kid was a sixpence when I was little. That's 2.5 pence these days, for anybody that doesn't know. But anyway, I'm just going to finish off this little bit of knitting I'm doing, and then I'm going to pop out in my garden and pull a few more weeds out. Maybe I might find that tortoise somewhere in the garden. But I think if I find that tortoise this time, I'm just going to leave it, because that little boy is just letting it out in the garden and he's not looking after it when it's in the garden, or he wouldn't have lost it in the first place. And I think that little tortoise might have enjoyed itself being free for a month when it was in my garden. The last time it was in my garden for a month, survived on whatever it was finding in the garden, probably the weeds, dandelions, and maybe insects and things like that. So I'm not sure I would give it back to him if I found it, because he's not looking after it. I don't know how you look after a tortoise anyway. I've never ever had anything like that. Me and my sister used to have mice and things like that. My mother used to do a nut, because if we let them out the cage thing, you know, and you couldn't find them, you know. I think one of them made a hole in the back of the settee and got itself in the settee one time, and so it was murder on my mother, and get rid of them mice. Anyway, that's my little bit for today. So just to keep you updated with where I've been and what I have been doing, what I haven't been doing. And I'm going to pop out in my garden now. So thumbs up and subscribe. And bye for now. I'll catch you another day.